Welcome, welcome, welcome to Haaseline Entertainment's new show, The Haase on Haunted Hill. Now, we're not trying to be something we're not here. We are lovers of the horror genre, and we are lovers of the horror genre because we know that in our spiritual side that we are that evil is just part of the equation if you are a liver in this world, and I don't mean the kind of liver that that the good old Doctor um, Hannibal Lecter wanted to remove, as I try to remove some stuff here. Um, but also, we're just happy to be able to chat, loosely and with love about some of our favorite horror flicks. And today we're going to talk about, whoops, I got to go over here. This guy way up here. We're going to talk about the franchise Chucky. But if you know the movie Chucky and you know the franchise, the first movie had nothing to do with Chucky. It was called Child's Play. The studio that put that out was MGM. And it was supposed to be at first just first of all, the creator, Don Mancini, wonderful, wonderful guy who has seen the transformation of Child's Play into a massive franchise of all kinds of merchandising and shows as it has bleed eight sequels or eight movies and a massive two-season TV show. So, it's alive and well. It has even been manufactured via Universal now owning the Chucky franchise, not the Child's Play original movie, has been incorporated into their Halloween Horror Nights and into their cast of numerous characters that Universal and IPs that they have. Um, so it was supposed to originally just be a satire and what was going on at the time, which is this big thing with the Cabbage Patch kids, the dolls that were very, very popular. And then also there was a My Buddy line that came out that was a just a regular kind of boy, good boy doll or whatever you want to call it. So it was just out there really just to kind of be a just kind of a satire and just kind of a movie with a happens to have a doll in it. In fact, the original movie, the character Alex, excuse me, Andy who was played by Alex Vincent, was the boy in the movie was supposed to actually be the evil one. It was supposed to be some supernatural, which of course Chucky is also, but it wasn't the actual doll that was doing it. It was actually in the original script, it was Andy doing all the killing, but it evolved into this uh, character that we know as Chucky and beloved in the horror genre. Originally, and there is a movie I think named already with that name, it was going to be called Batteries Not Included. And then with the kind of parody on the Buddy line, it was called Blood Buddy. But anyway, at the end run, name of the movie was Child's Play. And it was directed by Tom Holland, who is one of my favorite directors because he's not only a director, he's an actor. He loves the horror genre. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Child's Play, but I also directed one of my favorite movies, which is Fright Nights. And Fright Night is I said nights, but it's Fright Night. And reason I love Fright Night, it's got one of my favorite actors in it, Roddy McDowall. It also has, in both of these movies, the male lead is Chris Sarandon, who's always playing kind of the off character in Fright Night, as well as here playing the detective slash love interest to Catherine Hicks' character, who is Alex's mom. and I think this is one of her first roles, and of course in the horror genre. She went on to play in that series Seventh Heaven, which was a massive, had many, many, many successful seasons. I think probably well over 200 episodes, and has recently been in the news because of some of the misdoings of its lead dad in there, Stephen Collins. So if you want to go and dig up some dirt, there's plenty of dirt there now. But great cast, great director, and kind of like the Stephen King, Stanley Kubrick thing, Holland and Mancini did not get along at all. In fact, to the point where um, Holland had to just basically tell Mancini to stay off the set. And the reason that I think a lot of that was there, by the way, Chucky, the reason a lot of that was there was because as Holland invoked some of his thoughts into the script and into the movies, he wanted and it is in the movie, in the credits, he wanted a screenplay credit. And Mancini just hated that. I mean, this was his creation. Holland was just called on because he was a very popular director to direct the film. Anyway, that all just became chaos for this movie. But Mancini wins in the end because he has created again seven more films. In fact, even a remake of Child's Play, um, and which was terrible, but because it was kind of got into that digital world and technology world. Um, Boy, leave it alone. So sick of AI. I don't know about you guys, but it's here to stay. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, boy. But anyway, the real fun character to me in it was Brad Dourif. Now, if you know Brad Dourif, probably his really great role that we know him from is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Just a marvelous actor. I mean, I've loved him in so many other things, but he is the voice of Chucky. In fact, he most recently, as he's gotten older now and doesn't really want to act anymore, he said, I'm not going to do anything except the voice. I'll do voiceovers, and most importantly, the voice of Chucky, Path Forward. Um, so Brad Dourif plays Chucky, but if you know the story, and I don't want to give it away, if you haven't seen any of the Chucky or the Child's Play movie, and that's what we're talking about today is Child's Play. Um, the doll is kind of like a good my buddy, a good boy doll, and it's possessed. And this was one of the um, kind of the things that Mancini didn't want in the script that Holland won out at. It's kind of a voodoo thing where he's possessed by a bad guy, and the guy's name is Charles Lee Ray. Now, just so you know where they got that name from, Charles is from Charles Manson. Lee is from Lee Harvey Oswald, excuse me, and James Earl Ray. So they put those together. Charles Lee Ray is the bad guy in the movie, and he dies, and his spirit goes in to Chucky, and they kind of positioned that with some kind of voodoo chant, and that was the reason for the season, for this doll being possessed. And again, Mancini did not want that in there, but obviously it paid off because these were massive movies when they came out. But that friction was never resolved. I mean, Holland was out, and Mancini continued to move along. Now, later on in the sequels, we are introduced to Bride of Chucky, right? Because it plays a little bit off of the Frankenstein genre of or piece of the Universal Monsters, where he gets a bride, played by the wonderful Jennifer Tilly, if you know the story. And Jennifer has hung on through all the films, just like Brad Dourif. I mean, it's kind of like you can't make a Chucky movie without Jennifer Tilly and Brad Dourif. And amazing piece in there is Fiona Dourif, who is Brad's daughter. She's actually was instituted into the TV series and plays a major role in there with Jennifer Tilly. So, and she's a wonderful actress. And if you get to see any of those TV shows or any of the later movies, granted, just like any other franchise, there's less budget. Um, at times maybe even less story, but we get to see our favorite character live once again. Now, these two, the bride and Chucky, have a kid named Glenn, who was voiced by Billy Boyd, if you remember him from the Lord of the Rings franchise. So, um, really an iconic franchise. This stands alone, really. When you think of Friday the 13th, and which we haven't talked about yet, and you think of Freddy, Nightmare, Nightmare, yeah, the Nightmare movies, Freddy's Dead, and all the other ones that come along with Robert Englund, who we mentioned last time. Um, it's an amazing thing that Chucky has kind of pushed through there, and in some ways, got a TV show way before Nightmare on Elm Street, or Friday the 13th did have they both had shows, but they've both been dead. We know now that Friday the 13th, and we'll get into this when we talk about the movie, is going to be resurrected on Peacock, but Chucky really, has done a wonderful job. Mancini obviously is kind of because of the TV thing, and it was on I think it was on Sci-Fi or one of the smaller cable uh, networks. It kind of just kind of faded. It needed to step up and pull up into something bigger. But Mancini kind of has taken a like he has with all of the movies. He kind of takes a step back and then he reintroduces it. So I'm sure that we'll see Chucky again. But anyway, if you haven't seen the Chucky franchise or any of the movies in it, start with Child's Play, the original Child's Play. Great actors, great directors, regardless of the turmoil, and it seems to be that there's always that between the creators and the producers. And it seems to be that in movies. And there's just a lot of that goes on because of selfishness, to be honest with you. People that have IPs and have creations in the industry get a little greedy. Even ones that have let their IPs kind of go off into Never Never Land in the graveyard, when you try to help, and I just know this because this is what I do, when you try to help them re-energize an old IP or you try to get them on board, that they want their payday, and it's like the payday sometimes just doesn't come. And really, if you think about it, in the industry, in any of these, whether genres, the first movie, take the young kid Tom Holland who's playing in Spider-Man right now. He didn't make a whole lot in his first Spider-Man movie, and now he's making 20 million plus a film. Um, and we know that, that's great. And that's because the budgets go up. And finally, you do get your payday once the franchise has proved itself. But it all comes down to what you see behind me, which is merchandise, merchandise, merchandise. And when you finally hit the golden age of merchandise, selling at retail, and getting your IP out in numerous forms and able to add revenue and add fans and add an emotional bond to your property. This is why Chucky is such a great, or Child's Play has turned into Chucky, such a great franchise that lives on and will continue to live on through this little cat here, this little doll, who is not necessarily the most friendliest cat in the world. But anyway, I appreciate you all coming on. Again, we're not here to be experts in anything. We're lovers of the horror genre. And most of the time, as a lover of the genre, I'm in love with the merchandise. And it's the merchandise, again, that drives Hollywood and drives the industry. So thank you, retailers, great retailers in this genre here, like Spencer's Gifts, Hot Topic, Spirit Halloween. We used to at Walmart, and Target obviously play really big in these. And from my perspective, getting accounts like uh, the grocery accounts and some of the convenience actually does a pretty good job. Grocery is still lagging behind, but we got to get everybody on board in order to move properties. That's what this industry of entertainment and retail and brands is all about. So again, today is all about Chucky. It's the Haas on Haunted Hill, and we thank you for joining us again. Next week we'll probably be looking at next couple of weeks, two of the biggest franchises, The Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger. And it's actually turned in, just like this turned into Chucky. Friday the 13th turned into Jason, and Nightmare on Elm Street turned into Freddy. And we'll talk about those two giants because there is a movie, Jason versus Freddy. Or is it Freddy versus Jason? You'll have to continue to hang on to find out. Have a great week, and we'll talk soon.